Okay, we'll move on to item 10, conduct of business, adopt resolution. Item A, adopt resolution approving proposed tenant improvement and finishes plans for a restaurant as part of the development of El Camino Real commercial project at the crossing. City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, tonight we are completing yet another step in what has been a long process to realize a dream, and that is to bring a high-quality eating establishment to the Crossing San Bruno project. That is the property that is directly across El Camino Real from the Tanforan Mall. And for several years now, since the initial apartments complexes opened and the senior housing project opened at the village, has been a centerpiece of our community and a demonstration of the regional importance of San Bruno within this San Mateo County area. Tonight, the step that we're taking is a follow-up from your approval last month of the owner participation agreement between the San Bruno Redevelopment Agency and Stegner Associates, the owner of the retail project site on the crossing property. According to the owner participation agreement, there is a required step before the property owner developer can proceed with actual construction of the building, and that is to obtain your approval for the interior finishes or the tenant improvements at the restaurant property. Now, as anxious as we are to see this project move forward expeditiously, you won't see these tenant improvements being built for a number of months now because the shell needs to be built first. But your approval tonight will move this project forward, again, a giant step. My understanding is that the developer is prepared and looking forward to the opportunity to pull his building permits. The building permits are ready and waiting for the development team to come and pick them up and begin construction of the shell. We anticipate that to occur within the next month. Construction of the shell of the building to take approximately 6 to 7 months, with an additional 4 or 5 months for the interior tenant improvement finishes. With the hope and the expectation that the restaurant at the crossing will be open by this time or shortly after this time next year. So without further ado, I'm going to ask the development team or the architect to come forward and explain what they've envisioned here for the interior of what I'm understanding will be called Jack's San Bruno, I think it is.
All right. Good evening. My name is Graham Post. I'm with MBH Architects. We have brought with us today the material board that displays the materials and finishes that we intend to use as the interior design of the restaurant, as well as some renderings, floor plan. You all shall have a packet in front of you that will help guide you through this as well. So far, we've established the floor plan, sort of the interior look, and we have presented it to the subcommittee. So if there are any questions, I'd like to field them now. I also have a 3D display that we can walk through to help you visualize a little bit more the space, because there's only a couple images that you may have in your packet. So if you want to chime in at any point, please feel free to do so. So right now we're looking at the bar from the entryway, and so as we walk through this space, I apologize, it gets kind of jumpy, but we can walk through this space. The way it's laid out is we have a central main dining room, and a private dining that's off into the back. The space will be divided into 2 areas with a screen wall. Now, there was some comment about the privacy of this screen wall, and we are looking into developing the materials set forth to make that privacy adequate for the private events that are there. We're looking at either heavy drapery or some sort of wooden louver Venetian blind system that can be opened up to not restrict the view and make the space feel as one whole restaurant when not in use, as well as provide the privacy that you require during your events.
If you want to do it, I'll try to too.
By all means.
I'm Tom Banas, Banas Restaurant Design. We worked together on this project. The one thing I'll comment, as Graham is walking you through, that's what you're going to do when you walk through to get a cocktail as soon as you walk into the restaurant. You'll be walking through the restaurant into the bar, which you see now. The nice thing about this bar also, it acts as a pre-function to the larger private dining room in the back. So in other words, the back will accommodate approximately 70 seats as a private dining room. And it takes a while to get 70 people in one location or one restaurant. So instead of having to send them back there, you can actually go into the bar, have a drink, and then move into your dining room as your guests arrive. It usually takes people about a half an hour. I'm sure some people are a little bit more prompt than others, but it's usually a half an hour that they start coming to one place and then ready for a dinner. So that's the idea. And then the nice thing about this design too is that as you see down that hallway there's the bar to the left, a lounge on the right, and then as you see all the way back, that's another door leading into that private dining room. So without disrupting the rest of the restaurant. And that's where Graham's taking you now. It may look strange, but those things, the white things on the right and the left, are light fixtures.
Those light fixtures will be repeated throughout the restaurant.
Is that your main lighting?
No, they're...
Recessed lighting?
MR16 downlights, low voltage throughout the space, shining on each table and each area that we, decide we need it for. Now that enters into the private dining room. You'll have 3 U-shaped booths on the left, booths against the wall. There is some nice natural light. The reason that wall is a solid wall there is because it's a structural wall holding up the majority of the building. I guess it's some kind of load-bearing wall. And then there's also a fireplace in there. One of the requests when we first came to you was to try to make the room as nice as possible, and so we put in a fireplace. On the left there, you see a 60-inch television screen, so that'll handle all the AV that comes through too. It'll also be on a arm, so we can pull it out further if we need to.
The material of the fireplace is actually this stone right up here, which will help bring that room into, dress it up a bit and give it a nice central focal point as well.
In the private dining room, it'll be carpet, as you see there in the lower area. In the main dining room, there'll be a combination of, in the entry, you'll see that stone, that's the entry stone, and also in front of the bar and some of the bar areas. And then there'll be hardwood floor in most of the main dining room. But we do the carpet in the private dining room for noise. That's the biggest issue, to cut down on the noise.
So here's a view looking back at the bar from the private dining room.
Remember, in the success of the restaurant, it's important that we can utilize all the seats when we don't have a private function. So In the front area, it's about 90 seats, including the bar, and then in the back area, probably another 60. And we do need the whole restaurant in order to make it successful during the times we don't have private dining. The upper part, you want to talk about the ceiling? Ceiling's really cool. It's wood, and Graham's showing you the wood right over there. And so it's divided all over, and you'll be able to see those beams everywhere. They'll be dropping down about 12 inches. And then with the MR16 lights, those will be recessed. They'll be barely noticed. And the really cool thing is we found a ceiling right on the top there, that ceiling panel, that fits in completely. So it's not like 12 by 12s like this is, or like when you go into offices, you see those 2 by 4 panels that you see everywhere. This is a complete panel. I think it's 8 by 12 or 8 by 10. And it's really going to give a neat effect and also absorb sound. So
moving on down here, we have the tabletop finishes in this maple wood. This is the wood floor that we have to dress up the dining room area. This would be the bar top over here. The perimeter tile. Oh, I'm sorry. The perimeter tile. Well. All right, the perimeter tile is this dark tile over here, which will be around the bar and the perimeter areas around each of the dining room and the private dining room. Makes it a lot easier to clean, but still keeps a nice classy feel to it. The storefront material is a anodized dark bronze. These are the booth upholsteries. The booth seats are going to be solid colors, and the booth backs would be a sort of decorative but muted tone to play with the wall finishes, which vary from a cream to a sort of ochre and a light gray. Are there any questions that you would like to?
Questions from council? Irene?
Thank you. I understand the concept that you have the private dining room, you have the main dining area, and then when nobody is in the private dining room, you use that as part of the main restaurant. What about the flip side? If you have a private party that is big enough to do the whole restaurant, so if you have a wedding reception that's 150 people, with that in mind, the glass divider between the private and the main is going to be a barrier. So I believe I suggested last time, and I'd like to re-suggest it, that those glass dividers that you have, you can keep the same structure that it is and make the bottom panels like a window, that you open up the window, so that the people, if you have one group in that whole restaurant, that they would be able to talk and interact without any kind of constraint. There wouldn't be any, it wouldn't change your structure, it wouldn't obstruct anything. You would still have the Venetian blind type things you were talking about before to add privacy, but that way you could open up the whole thing for a larger party. One of the things that the city has been looking for years and years and years is a place to do that very kind of thing. So I don't know if that's a recommendation, a mandate, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay. Would you like to address that?
Sure. This has come up before. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen, and it does happen occasionally, but what's going to have to happen, if someone wanted to take over the whole restaurant, it would have to be quite a hefty fee to do that. And that's just from the business standpoint because of the staffing and everything else of the restaurant. So you'd be looking at probably like a $5,000 charge, or it could even be up to $10,000 charge to cover the cost of operating the full restaurant and shutting it down. Now, a lot of times that is not the most desirable for the patrons that come all the time. For example, if someone wants to do a wedding on Saturday night, that means your restaurant shut down. And so those regular people that come, sometimes come every Saturday night to have dinner there, they're going to realize that that restaurant's closed that night for them. So it won't happen very often because of the fees involved in it. And secondly, I wouldn't discourage it. I mean, I'm sure my client would love to take the money and figure out whatever it costs and let someone take over the restaurant. I have to tell you, we had this conversation a long time ago with your committee, and please understand, this is not a banquet facility. It's not a banquet hall, and I know you need one. In fact, one of my suggestions in one of the earlier meetings was the hotel market is very difficult right now. You'd have a heck of a time trying to find someone to take the hotel site. If you'd really want to turn that into a banquet facility, and I'll tell you, you'll do quite well. But it's not a banquet room, so please understand that we are accommodating the 70 to 80 people in the back. If someone did want to rent out the whole space, I'm sure John would accommodate. But it's kind of a double-edged sword, because, like I said, if someone comes in, any of you, say I go to dinner every Friday night at Jack's, and if you can't get in there, you're not going to be very happy. So as far as the wall goes, we've gone back and forth on opening, closing. One of the problems with opening the wall is storage of the panels after you open them. So then we thought, well, are we really going to ever open them? So then I think the mayor brought up, well, we do need privacy occasionally in that room in the back. So we're looking at, there was a third thing we're looking into, Graham, I don't know if you heard at the meeting, but is that idea where there's a gas that goes in between the two glasses and cuts off the view completely, and it's simply done by a switch. So we're looking into that too. The other thing that make it very difficult in order to communicate is there are horse-shaped U-booths that sit on one side of the wall, which is in the main dining room, and then the other side of the wall is a banquet booth. So I'm not sure how much communication you could have in between those two, but I guess it's possible. But so I mean, I hope I get you to understand the answer. I'm not trying to avoid it, but it's a difficult task to turn a whole restaurant into a banquet room.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from Ken?
Is Jack's San Bruno going to be open 7 days?
Yes. Yes.
It was going to be open in 7 days or
No, 7 days a week.
7 days a week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And as far as, just out of my curiosity, as far as the evening atmosphere, when you start, you can go to certain types of restaurants. Sometimes, I mean, they're dark, and that's why I was asking about the lighting. I said, what is there a technical term, or is there some type of way that you're trying to achieve the evening lighting in the restaurant?
What we don't want is what you're sitting under now. We try to limit the ambient light, and that's why we do the MR16s, which is a low voltage light. It also helps on energy savings. But the nice thing is you illuminate the tables as opposed to illuminate the whole area. So this is ambient light that lights up a room. It's great for a meeting hall, but it's horrible for dinner. The other thing that the MR16 does also gives kind of a rose tint to the light. And what ends up happening is people look better that way. And you want people to look better when they're in that type of atmosphere. Fluorescent lights make people look pale and gray and stuff like that. So yeah, and the idea is we can control the light from day to light. The really nice thing is we've utilized a lot of the glass. So we're going to have a lot of natural light. And that's not totally controllable, but that's a good thing.
And my other, decorative-wise, I mean, is there going to be plants and interior stuff? There's going to be anything hanging off? Is there any artwork, whatever?
Not a lot of walls left.
Yeah, I know. That's why I asked. I mean, is that a good, accurate depiction of what the space is going to be? That you have just the vertical light standards, and then just recessed lights. I mean, because I realize, I mean, it's 10-foot plus ceilings too. Right. So.
Yeah, there's not a lot left of wall space left. We're going to have very attractive mirrors and figures on the back bar. The room that's going to have more artwork is really going to be the back room, and because we do have 2 solid walls there. The other wall, as you walk in to the right, will be the kitchen, and that also has a divider wall there. So there's really not a lot of walls left. That was kind of the reason that I was pushing for those light fixtures that you kind of see. It's really kind of a different thing, but when you see it, it's very attractive. It'll give a nice glow. It'll be more of an art piece than it is for lighting, although it'll give you some ambient light.
Thank you.
Other questions from council? Action from council?
Through the chair.
Vice Mayor Ryan?
Before I introduce the resolution, I just want to say it's been a pleasure to work with John Marcovici and his team, and we are ready to cut the ribbon soon, I hope. I'd like to introduce the resolution for adoption.
Okay, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Ruane.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Mayor Pranzella.
Aye. There's a unanimous vote for you. We'll see you on October 1st with shovels and picks, or whatever it takes, okay? All right, thanks a lot.